Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we're back after a little break there. Hope you guys enjoyed MLK Day and that full slate of games. We've got just 3 here tonight, so we are doing our best to bring you these best bets as well as play a props up in another video. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page and continue to follow along all season with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com and use that prop finder tool up there. Make sure you're getting the best juice on all these bets that you are making in the NBA this season. Nate, let's go ahead and just kick it off right here on Tuesday with your first best bet for tonight.
Yeah, OKC plus 6.5 if you can still get it at the Clippers. I mean, it's still available at some books, and DraftKings, it's already been bet down to 4.5, for example, because it's too big of a spread for OKC, despite the back-to-back situation. Like, this is a young team that has not had issues with the back-to-back. In fact, they're better when they're on a rest advantage and better when they're road dogs or dogs in general, right? We don't like taking the Thunder that much as favorites, at least not last year, but this year they've been a little bit better. But this year, I mean, 6-1 against the spread with a rest disadvantage, 4-1 on back-to-backs, plus 16 against the spread with that disadvantage. And we saw Dagnall go to his bench early last night as they lost the Lakers. And, you know, pretty much looking ahead to this one in some way, maybe reading his team, maybe just hedging his bets to say, you know, we got to get one of these here at Crypto/Staples, and especially for SGA. Like, if this does creep down and you don't feel comfortable taking it only plus 3 or something, just take SGA props. Like, he's at 30.5 points. I would raise that to 31.5. You get even money there. He's averaged 31 against LAC his last 3. But the usage rate is what you got to look at. 38.5% usage, which is also his usage on back-to-backs this season. And he's averaged 32 points per game in under 30 minutes in those back-to-backs. So another guy which is not affected by the short rest here. But it's a circle game for him, right? I mean, the team that traded him, of course, he's been very good against them. That's why, you know, they've won 4 of their last 5 against these Clippers. So the money line parlay with SGA to score is definitely in play here. Look at that a little bit later. And big deal, Zubac is out for the Clips. You know, they struggled defensively in their first without him against Minnesota, as you might expect. I mean, they've struggled defensively in general over their last 5, allowing the 5th highest 3-point shooting and 8th most free throw attempts. And the Thunder road defense has been the opposite. Has been incredible. You know, they didn't quite get the offense against this physical Lakers team, but on the road, I mean, they're still top 4 in rating, opponent paint points, assist to turnover, and 3-point percentage, including number 1 in 3-point percentage in the last 3. So I'll take OKC to keep this close. If you can get it plus 5 or better, for sure, just take that spread.
Yeah, it's an interesting opening number. If you believe that the Thunder are going to be worse on the back-to-back. I mean, when you look at the game last night, the Lakers shot well, that's for sure. And the, you know, 53% or so from the field as a team, complete opposite for the Thunder. So I do think it's just a little bit of a bad shooting night and a good shooting night for their opponent, to be honest with you, for the Thunder. And that's, you know, something that I look for here in my first bet is their team total, which is over 114.5 in this one. And I, like you said, like the Clippers, what I was looking at too, is just in the last, you know, roughly what, like we've got about 7 to 10 games that they've been, you know, waning on defense, and Kawhi got hurt in there for a couple games, roughly 10, you know, 8 to 10 games ago. So there was a little bit of thought, like maybe there's a correlation there, and there still is. They have a much better defensive rating when he's in the game, and when he's on the floor as well. The thing is like it still just hasn't been that good lately. For the Thunder, I think it's a bit of a bounce back after a poor shooting night more than anything. The Clips are playing a little bit faster at home, and the Thunder are scoring, you know, on the road lately as well. They are playing better defense than they were on the road, but they're still scoring outside of that one Lakers game, right? They've gone over this number consistently. 8 of their last 10 on the road that they've gone over this number, only failing to do so against a few teams this season in general on the road. 15 of 20 this year, they've gone over this number. Only time they haven't, Minnesota twice, best home defense on the planet, Minnesota Timberwolves, and then sack in that back-to-back game that they played as well. And then one more of an anomaly in there as well. So Phoenix, right, and Houston. So Houston's second best home defense, right? Like it was a big difference, right? And the Clippers, as good as they're capable of being on defense, I think it's huge that Zoo's not out, right? The Thunder team are going to be attacking the rim all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, right? And the thing that the Clippers do well is they do get back on defense decently enough to stop those transition points. But the down low stuff, Zubac has been Rudy Gobert this season. I talked about it last Clippers game. He's got like a top 3 defensive field goal percentage inside of 5 feet. Zubac, right? Big Zoo. So his absence in a game where you've got a team that wants to get inside of 5 feet as often as they can seems like it would be a pretty big miss to not have your best defender in that particular area of the floor. That's a big part of why I'm good with this, And then when Zoo's not in there, it's also a pace game, right? With him on the floor, we're talking about a 98 pace for this Clippers team. With him off the floor, nearly a 101.5 pace, right? It goes up 3 points per possession per 100 possessions. So I think there'll be more shots. There'll be a bit more fast break. Maybe the Clips are still pretty good at getting back, but even in the half court, I think they are going to struggle to stop this Thunder team that should be running. By the way, because the Clippers half court defense is good. It's very good. But like I said, without Zoo, it's not as good. And when you put the Thunder in transition, they should have a bit more success.
Yeah, it's not as good. SGA is going to feel very comfortable operating in the mid-range with Daniel Tice out there contesting his shot, right? Like it's just not going to be particularly threatening. I do like the Thunder here in this spot, as I mentioned. So I'll just move on to the first nationally televised game here. Denver at Philly. Everybody's questionable. Sixers on a back-to-back. Nuggets' entire starting lineup is questionable. So I'll throw out 2 little parlays here, both with Maxey to get 25 points. And if Embiid plays, add him 10 rebounds, plus 130 odds there. If Embiid sits, Tobias Harris 15 plus points gets you plus 150. And we know Toby has been going off when Embiid is out. I mean, those 2 guys are going to have a huge usage rate. But we've also identified the reason both these have Maxey in them is that Maxey's going to score much more efficiently when he has Embiid out there. And you get like 6 points of value when Embiid's projected to play for Maxey's prop to be 25 and a half instead of 31 and a half when he's out. So we like taking this. I mean, his last 6 with Embiid, 29 points per game on 44% splits, 30% usage, and he's gone over this number in 5 of 6. The only under was a blowout against the Bulls, blowout win. And in that same tough matchup against Caruso, who shuts everybody down, he had 29 points, took 23 shots in a win earlier. Embiid, of course, 10 plus rebounds in 16 straight games, 24 of his last 26. Brings it against the Joker, averaging 13 boards in his last 5 against Jokic. If he happens to sit, like this should be a faster paced environment, and Tobias Harris is good in transition. Maxey obviously can get his points on more volume, even if he's less efficient. We don't know about the Nuggets. I mean, they're listing KCP, Jamal, Aaron Gordon as questionable. We do see props up for them, but if any of those guys miss, it's obviously a better matchup for Maxey. And, he does still score without Embiid. Like I'm saying, he does still hit more threes. No, I'm sorry. He hits more threes when Embiid is in there at a much higher percentage, right? But in general, the Sixers playing faster with Nick Nurse at the helm here. So I like him to just, handle a high usage rate either way, Maxey. And we'll see if Embiid's out there or not. But either way, I think these parlays are pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. I'm with it. The Tobias one actually scares me if JoJo plays. That's the thing about Embiid.
Right. To be clear, I'm saying only take that one if Embiid's ruled out. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. 100% there. I do like Maxey's threes to a degree with Embiid out there because we've talked about that in the past when I took Maxey under threes and points because Embiid wasn't in and they were playing a good defense at the time. Denver, I'm not quite as worried about. They've been okay against point guards. They're a tough team to figure out this year because you really got to dive into their stats individual game wise, right? Like you can't just look at the overarching and go, who played? Did Jamal's miss time? Aaron Gordon's missed time? Was Joker on a back-to-back and trying? Like you have to really dive in and see if Joker's care is there plus everything else. Can we just stop getting robbed of this game for the love of God? Can we just please watch Joel Embiid? And can the schedule makers prioritize that? Like put it on during Monday Night Football. I'll watch it. Who cares? Just put those 2 on the court together, please. Either way, let me go to the last best bet here, which is Sac and Phoenix. And another, I don't know if you want to call it fishy because we've seen it, but I'm going under in this game. I suppose it would be fishier to go over when you got the Kings and the Suns, but 243.5 total hasn't moved since it opened. I like the under a lot. I think this game's at like 235 max, to be honest with you. There's a couple things that I'm using here, right? First of all, they played together against each other when the Kings were on a back-to-back, and this is going to be a similar situation. The Kings in this situation, they're scoring 111 points per game on these B2Bs on the second night of that, and they are scoring 100. They're giving up 120. So yeah, the defense hasn't been great and doesn't give you much confidence in their ability to stop other teams. But I do think they matched up decently well with the Suns, and they should at least, I don't know, I think that they're going to hang around in this game. I don't really care because I just think the points are too high, even if they don't hang around, to be honest with you, right? So if they lose 110 to 120, great. That's wonderful, right? I'm happy with that. The points that they're giving up are scary, but they're just not scoring on B2Bs. They're not scoring on the road either. 114.5 PPG points per game there, as opposed to the 120 or so that they're putting up at home when they're playing at Golden One Center. And so with the road splits, the matchup as well is something that I think there was a good reason it went under last time, that the pace drops a bit, but even when it doesn't, there is a lot of like two big men on the floor for the entirety of the game, right? Like Domas played 38 minutes last time, and he's a little faster than your normal big man, but he's also not like leading the break necessarily. They play a little bit slower with him on the floor. And then we should see a lot of Nurk in response to a lot of Domas in this game, which is what we saw the last two times these guys have faced off, that Nurk's averaging 32 minutes a game in those games, and as opposed to about 29 in the other games, right? He gets about 3 more minutes when he has to be in there to guard Domas. Plus, they really, really like Nurk when he's in there with Beal. That's been the case. When Beal has been in, Nurk's minutes go up as well with Beal. In fact, a lot of stuff goes up with Beal because he's really asked to do a little bit more when Bradley Beal's not on the floor. If there's just two of the big three out there with him, he needs to be a lot more of a passer. They're facilitating through him a bit more. But in this case, they just need him in there for rebounds. They're like, yo, go in there, play true center. We know you can pass and everything, but just put the ball up when we give it to you down low. Try to get Domas in foul trouble and get your boards. And that's the job of Nurk in this one. And that's why he's going to be playing a lot more, which is why I add to this, that adds to this whole sort of game slowing down and being a bit more about half court offense. So I'll go ahead and feel good about the under 244 here. Like I said, I like this down to like 241, 242. I'd still play it even if it drops a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp, I think, because the Kings do struggle in the half court. They do play better defense on the road, and they get out in transition less on the road. It's question, I mean, Frank Vogel being the Suns coach, like this would be a smash under if not for Bradley Beal's return. And the only concern being like, well, the Suns offense is like, it could just start cooking. Like, I mean, it has. They've been getting 120 a game since their big three has been intact their last 4. So I would worry maybe that they drag this over. And if you are worried on that side, just take the Suns -4. Like the Kings are not a great road team. I mean, or, you just don't know if they're going to come along. But either way, I think De'Aaron Fox's props are too low. And I'll just segue that to the player props section, which we'll get into in a minute here.
For sure. Yeah, sounds good. I hear you on all that too. I still think the pace stays a bit low. I don't know that the Kings are coming along for the ride, to be honest. Right. That's kind of how I feel about it, right? So you could also look at a Kings team total under if you felt good about it with them on the back-to-back. Like I said, 111 points per game in the 6 second legs that they played on no rest this season. So that's all the time we have for you in Best Bets. Also want you to check out the Player Props, though. So subscribe to that page and continue to follow along. Like the video. Also, jump in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. We could take it and come back to you guys and talk a bit more about this stuff. So continue to follow along, and until we see you next, happy betting.